Hi, everybody. First of all, I want to say I'm sorry and apologize for not being able to be with you on Saturday. This weekend, it was my daughter's 16th birthday, so I needed to spend some time with her. So I'm sure you'll forgive me for that. So, just to jump in and talk a little bit about my experience with the Ministry of Presence this quarter. I think it's been pretty natural for me, but still difficult because I'm not great at it yet. It is something I'm very aware of and have been practicing for a while, especially because I see my calling and believe that God is calling me towards spiritual direction. So that is probably the prime spiritual practice that occurs in that ministry, that type of ministry. So I find myself still trying to fix situations and not simply kind of just be with people. I think a lot of that is God working to shift me away from a mentor type role and into more of, again, like that spiritual director role. So I think that has been a little bit stretching for me. I think that looking at the ministry presence assignment and how it relates to mission is really summed up in something I learned in another practices course at Fuller. So bear with me, but I believe that the church has been primarily impacted, its mission has been primarily impacted by the Augustinian mission, that is, or the Peter mission of evangelizing. And I think that a lot of us have grown up in that tradition and really believe and have been taught that that's what evangelizing looks like. And it's kind of the only model. Whereas in Orthodox Christianity and in other expressions of Christianity, like for example, Celtic Christianity. So while there's nothing wrong with the active evangelizing mission that Augustine kind of fought for, there's so much we can learn that's related to listening and being present with God, and being present with one another and listening for God, which is actually something that was espoused by Pelagius. And that's more of like the mission of John. And so I think that is kind of how I see right now the state of the church and how its mission is being changed by not including spiritual practices as a whole, and definitely not including spiritual practices that encourage contemplation, and more silence and those types of practices, even Sabbath. I think that this assignment, again, is like directly related to my calling. But going forward, I think it's something that I need to practice doing before I actually interact verbally with people. I think I just need to be better at just sitting, waiting, being okay with pausing, being okay in the silence, and not feeling like I have to give my opinion or necessarily that my wisdom is being asked for or anything like that. So that way I'm become more attuned and I can hear God's voice more clearly, because that's all about what spiritual direction is as well, is kind of there's like a high level of discernment going on, and as well as interceding in the moment with the individual you're encountering. One final thing I will say is I hope you guys liked the centering prayer exercise. I did it with you when I watched the video, listened to the audio, and I will say, yes, Ian, that was a little terrifying when you would speak up, and we were very into the silence. But this is something that I practice every day. It is my primary spiritual practice at this time, and it's difficult, but it's also so enriching, and so it gives me so much calm and peace in my life, so that way I can be there and for others and actually do the ministry of presence. I will also say that in terms of prayer, within the past 3 weeks, my daughter was diagnosed with major depressive disorder. And so we're really trying hard to make sure she gets the help she needs. She begins therapy this week, and she's already begun taking medication. And this is just going to be a process. As I mentioned in our first session, I was diagnosed with bipolar when I was 16 years old. She's currently 16. And they will also be ruling out bipolar as well. But I, could use all sources of prayer. And I would just appreciate that. It's been difficult for the past 3 years, and we're just hoping she finds some relief with some of these therapies and whatever else that we can do for her. So that's all I have, and I will talk to you guys in week 7.